Good morning, dear students. Today Mrs. Anne Marie, is here with the new chapter, The Last Leaf, written by O. Henry. So we'll see the chapter sketch. The Last Leaf is a story about two artist friends, Sue and Johnsy, who lived together. Once, Johnsy falls ill and does not get well for a long time. Sue comes to know that Johnsy is thinking that she would die when the last leaf from a creeper outside the window would fall. She tries to convince Johnsy that she is wrong in thinking so, but she doesn't change her mind. Finally, a neighbor, Brahmin, paints a plastic leaf and sticks it on the creeper while Johnsy is asleep. The leaf does not fall in spite of the fierce wind and storm, and after some time, Johnsy realizes that she was wrong in relating her death to the falling leaves of the creeper. In the process of saving Johnsy, Brahmin falls ill as Heavy has drenched himself in heavy rain and caught pneumonia. We'll start the chapter. The Last Leaf. Sue and Johnsy, two young artists, shared a small flat. The flat was on the third story of an old house. The two girls by the names of Sue and Johnsy lived together in a small flat, and they were artists. The flat was on the third floor of an old house. Johnsy fell very seriously ill in November. She had pneumonia. The pronunciation of pneumonia is pneumonia. Here P is silent. She would lie in her bed without moving, just gazing out of the window. Sue, her friend, became very worried. She sent for the doctor. Although she came every day, there was no change in Johnsy's condition. Now, pneumonia is actually, it's a disease caused due to the infection of the lungs. And here the word came gazing, it means looking. Now, in the month of November, Johnsy was struck by pneumonia and she remained in bed and would look out of the window. And Sue was worried about Johnsy and called the doctor even. The doctor visited them daily, but there was no improvement in Johnsy's health. Now, one day the doctor took Sue aside and asked her, "Is anything worrying Johnsy?" Now, the doctor secretly asked Sue that if something was the matter with Johnsy. "No," replied Sue. "But why do you ask?" No, Sue replied that there was nothing to worry and asked why did the doctor think so. The doctor said, "Johnsy, it seems, had made up her mind that she is not going to get well. Now, if she doesn't want to live, medicines will not help her." Now, Sue tried her best to make Johnsy take an interest in things around her. She talked about clothes and fashions, but Johnsy did not respond. Johnsy continued to lie still on her bed. Sue brought her drawing board into Johnsy's room and started painting even to take Johnsy's mind off her illness. She whistled while walking. Now, Sue tried to liven up Johnsy. She discussed interesting things like clothes and fashion with her, but Johnsy remained unaffected. She lay in bed and Sue sat beside her and started painting in order to create interest in her and take her mind off her illness. Now, suddenly, Sue heard Johnsy whisper something. She quickly rushed to the bed and heard Johnsy counting backwards. She was looking out of the window and was saying 12. After some time, she whispered 11, then 10, then 9, 8, 7. Sue anxiously looked out of the window. She saw an old ivy creeper climbing halfway up the brick wall opposite their window. In the strong wind outside, the creeper shedding its leaves. Now, Sue heard that Johnsy was speaking softly. Now, Johnsy was making a backward counting while looking out of the window. Sue was curious and looked outside. She saw an ivy creeper plant beside the window of the room. As strong winds were blowing, the leaves of the creeper were falling. Now, "What is it, dear?" Sue asked. "6," whispered Johnsy. "They are falling faster now. 3 days ago, there were almost 100 leaves. There are only 5 left now." Now, Johnsy said 6. Then she said that the leaves are falling faster And she added that 3 days ago there were a lot of leaves on the ivy creeper, almost 100, but now only 5 were left. It is autumn, said Sue. All the leaves will fall. Sue replied that it was autumn season and it was natural for the creeper to shed its leaves. Now, when the last leaf falls, I will die, said Johnsy with finality. I have known this for the last 3 days. Johnsy said that she would die when the last leaf fell, and she added that she had known this for the last 3 days. Oh, that nonsense, replied Sue. Why have old ivy leaves to do with your getting well? The doctor is confident that you will get better. Now, Johnsy did not say anything. She went and brought her a bowl of soup. I don't want any soup, said Johnsy. I am not hungry. Now there are only 4 leaves left. I want to see the last one fall before it gets dark. Then I will sleep forever. Just see. Now Sue sat on Johnsy's bed, kissed her and said, you are not going to die. I can't draw the curtain for I need the light. I want to finish the painting and get some money for us. Please, my dear friend, she begged Johnsy. Yes, she begged Johnsy, promise not to look out of the window while I paint. Now, Sue tried to show affection towards Johnsy and she said that Johnsy would not die. She kept the curtain open because she needed the light to complete the painting. She would sell it to fetch money for them. Sue requested Johnsy not to look out of the window. All right, said Johnsy, finish your painting soon, for I want to see the last leaf fall. I am tired of waiting. I have to die, so let me go away peacefully, like one of those poor, tired leaves. Yes, Johnsy agreed and asked Sue to finish the painting so that she could be in time to see the last leaf fall off the ivy plant. Try to sleep, said Sue. I have to paint an old manor I will call Brahman up to be my model. Sue rushed down. Brahman lived on the ground floor. Now Sue went downstairs to the ground floor of the house where Brahman lived. He was a 60-year-old painter and his lifelong dream was to paint a masterpiece, but that had remained a dream only. Now Sue poured out her worries to Brahman. She told him how Johnsy was convinced that she would die when the last leaf fell. Is she stupid? Asked Brahman. How can she be so foolish? Now she is running a high temperature, complained Sue. She refuses to eat or drink and that worries me a lot. Here the Brahmin said, I will come with you and see Johnsy. This Brahmin said. Brahmin went to see Johnsy. Yes, they tiptoed into the room. Johnsy was sleeping. Sue drew the curtain together and they went to the next room. She peeped out through the window. There was only 1 leaf on the creeper. It was raining heavily and an icy cold wind was blowing. It seemed as though the leaf would fall any minute now. Brahmin did not say a word. He went back to his room. Now, Johnsy woke up next morning. In a feeble voice, she asked Sue to draw the curtains. Sue was nervous. She drew back the curtains very reluctantly. Feeble means weak. Now the next morning, Johnsy woke up and in a weak voice asked Johnsy to open the curtains. Sue was worried and hesitantly drew them back. Oh, Sue exclaimed as she looked at the vine creeper. Look, there is still 1 leaf. Yes, on the creeper. It looks quite green and healthy. In spite of the storm and the fierce wind, it didn't fall. Now Sue was glad as she announced that there still was 1 leaf on the creeper and it appeared green and healthy. It hadn't fallen despite the storm. I heard the wind last night, said Johnsy. I thought it would have fallen. It will surely fall today. Then I'll die. Johnsy said that she had heard the winds the previous night and she had thought that the leaf would definitely fall. Now she added that it would fall that day for sure and then she would die too. You won't die, said Sue energetically. You have to live for your friends. What would happen to me if you die? Sue said that Johnsy would not die. She had to live for her friends, and she added that she would become lonely if Johnsy died. Now, Johnsy smiled weakly and closed her eyes. After every hour or so, she would look out of the window and she found the leaf still there. It seemed to be clinging to the creeper. Now, Johnsy smiled and closed her eyes. She was weak. After almost every hour, she would look out if the leaf was still there or not. It seemed that the leaf was stuck to the creeper. Now, yes, in the evening, there was another storm, but the leaf did not fall. Johnsy lay for a long time looking at the leaf. Then she called out to Sue, I have been a bad girl. You have looked after me so lovingly, and I have not cooperated with you. I have been depressed and gloomy. The last leaf has shown me how wicked I have been. I have realized that it is a sin to want to die. Now, Johnsy said that she had been a bad girl. She looked after her while she did not cooperate and remained sad. She hugged Johnsy. Yes, Sue hugged Johnsy. Then she gave her lots of hot soup and a mirror. Johnsy combed her hair and smiled brightly. Now, Sue was glad to see a change in Johnsy, and she got soup for her, gave her a mirror to tidy her hair. Johnsy was happy and bright. Now, in the afternoon, the doctor came. After examining his patient, he told Sue, Johnsy now has the will to live. I am confident she will recover soon. Now, I must go downstairs and see Brahman. He is also suffering from pneumonia, but I am afraid there is no hope for him. Now, the doctor visited after that afternoon and said that the desire to live was back in Johnsy, and he was sure that she would recover soon. And he went downstairs to check Brahman, who was suffering from pneumonia, and there was no hope that he would recover. Now, the next morning, Sue came and sat on Johnsy's bed. Yes, taking Johnsy's hand in hers, she said, I have something to tell you. Mr. Brahman died of pneumonia this morning. He was ill for only 2 days. The first day, the janitor found him on his bed. His janitor means a person whose job is to look after a building. So his clothes and shoes were wet and he was shivering. He had been out in the stormy night. Now, the next morning, Sue sat beside Johnsy's bed and told that Brahman died that morning. He had been ill for the last 2 days. The caretaker of the building had found him in his bed. His clothes and shoes were wet and he was shivering. He had gone out at night during the storm. Then they found a ladder and a lantern still lighted lying near his bed. There were also some brushes and green and yellow paints on the floor near the ladder. Now, Johnsy, dear, said Sue, look out of the window. Look at that ivy leaf. Haven't you wondered why it doesn't flutter when the wind blows? That Brahman's masterpiece. He painted it the night the last leaf fell. Now, a ladder and a lantern were lying near his bed. Paint, brushes, green and yellow colored paint were also lying nearby. Sue asked Johnsy to look at the leaf. It did not flutter when the wind blew. It was the masterpiece that Brahman aspired to paint. When the last leaf fell at night, he painted this one. Now, the summary is two friends, Sue and Johnsy, lived together in a rented apartment, as I have already told you. And this story is based on the friendship of two friends, the real friendship, the love between the two friends. I hope you all like the story. Now, in our next video, I'll be sending you the solution of the chapter, The Last Leaf. Please read and understand and underline the difficult words. Thank you and have a nice day ahead.